Yeah, Simi Sabu and Namda Samsarch interacted. It's very, she's a very creative parent. And thank you for your wishes, Eid Mubarak.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
Shia sir, we are continuing. Okay.
Okay,
Now
okay.
it's technology is okay with us. And we are inviting so many people. We are waiting for them. But the things that it's a colloquium. Colloquium means many people are involved in this one, but we don't have time frame. And today, the national education policy is the NEP is a buzzword. And so this is the right time to have a discussion on the special features, mainly common features of NEP. And Shiyas, Mohammed Shiyas, he is a educationist of the present scenario, especially for the post-pandemic educationist. And he is heading Chamber of Education as the research director and the trainer in SCRT, and also heading various things like textbook committee member. Okay, and also he worked as an anchor, and Rasmi also doing this one anchor in the Victor's program also. We had an interaction when he came to IIM, Indian Institute of Management, to have an interview with the director, Debashish Chatterjee, with the children. He came with children, a team of children, and he made an interview with the children. It's very innovative. That's why I would introduce him as a leader, Toto Chan among the teachers. No, Toto Chan started in teachers also. He's, anyway, he's a new gen teacher. Maybe it's not called teacher, new gen learner. Okay. Of course, sir, this is the right time you can start with NEP, National Education Policy, when now that bill approved in the cabinet, and
Yeah.
that already started ruling it. And Jayashree ma'am is with us, Jayashree Chatanath. She is heading our media relations and the media programs. She is the chief mentor of media relations of Cultiversity. And Abdul Razak sir is the director of one reputed school in Kanyirapalli in Kottayam district. And Simi Sabu is one of a beloved parent. She is representing a stakeholder. And there are so many other people also, Ismail, Pravida, Abdul Wahid, and Salil Hassan. I invited everyone. Now I'm this turn to, yes, sir. Shia will talk on the vibrant thoughts of education as the common features of NEP, National Education Policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Noushad sir, for that wonderful introduction. I'm really wondering whether these adjectives are really suitable for me. Anyway, thanks for that. And our other distinguished panelists today. Actually, we are slightly late and we don't have much time to be wasting on this particular. So without any elaborate introduction, let me just kick off my presentation. We know that as educationists, we are all excited because once again, discussions and debates on educations are doing the rounds, right? You find discussions on education in the media, in newspapers, and everywhere you find that. So in a way, it's a valorization of educational debates. So I think that way we are happy, right? We know that it's almost 30 years since we looked at education seriously. So it's a fresh look at education. It's a renewed engagement with education. In that sense, we as educationists are excited. We are all, curious to know what is going to be happening in the terrain of education, because it's a crucial area of our nation. So since, as Noushad sir has said, we are going to be having a series of colloquiums on educations. I don't think we'll be able to go in detail about the minute aspects of NEP. So instead, we'll be looking at the, a macroscopic kind of an analysis on this document. We know that education documents are always very, very, very contested, right? You can agree, you can disagree, you can be maintaining an intelligent neutrality and things like that. So there is no point in becoming unnecessarily anti-document or unnecessarily pro-document. So I think I'm looking at it in a little more dispassionate, objective, neutral format. So before analyzing some of the concerns I have, I would like to talk about the major positives of this document. One thing I would like to talk about is the kind of emphasis that is given to the expenditure. You know that any changes in the education scenario needs really serious pumping of finances on that. In that sense, this government is serious because they have already are talking about setting about a GDP of 6% to the education segment of the country. So that's a really important, crucial decision by the government because the money is a real prime mover. So that's interesting. Another is the concern of the government. Oh, sure. Another interesting aspect is the kind of stress given by the government to the gross enrollment ratio, right? We know that, our contingent in this area is not that interesting. So the government is talking about enhancing the GER rate, 50% in the higher education segment and 100% in the secondary segment. That's also a very, very interesting vision. I don't know how far we are able to realize those great ambitions, but that is visible. The government is serious about that. Another point I would like to talk about is the stress that is given to pre-primary education. We know that in India, the pre-primary segment is highly scattered. Some area, you have some highly, advanced learning centers. Some area you have, very vulgar teaching centers. They are not at all concerned about the pedagogy and psychology of children. So it's a very haphazard kind of a terrain. So the government is thinking, looking at it as a serious area where we should focus seriously because we know that government is concerned about a serious lack in the foundational literacies. So the government is talking about how to manage this lacunae in the foundational literacies because we know that you can talk about higher education always, but if you have a serious higher education, you need to have the foundation stable. So government is focusing on that. That's an interesting another point. Another point is the focus on mother tongue. See, we have always been talking about the intelligent use of mother tongue, especially in the context of early education, because we know that we have so many research findings indicating the fact that children tend to learn better with the help of their mother tongue. So the discussion of mother tongue, there also it's interesting that, you have a possibility of multilingual context. There is no, stress on a particular language. There is no stress on Hindi or there is no stress on English. So, a teacher decides, she can be using English, she can be using Hindi, she can be even using Bangla, she can even use other possibilities, right? She can even use the language of the playground. So it's a very interesting, we always talk, I'm an English person, I'm teaching English. We always talk of English language and we know that in Kerala especially, English has a special place. So we need to distinguish English as a serious subject and English as a serious medium of instructions. I think we need to distinguish both these areas. If that is the case, much of our confusion will be disappear. So these are the, and another point is if you look at the curricular suggestions, you find that there is a serious thrust on, flexibility, you have, unnecessary bifurcation between, arts and science. You don't have unnecessary thrust on, centralized examination pattern. So in all these areas, area of technology, the document is talking about meaningfully integrating intelligent technology, not the slavish technology where we find often in the marketplace. So these are, I think, some of the key factors I have identified as some of the pluses, some of the positives of the document. And we know that no document is absolutely positive, absolutely progressive. You can always find some areas for improvement. So if you look at that way, I must say some of the concerns I have is that this is a recent article by Shiv Vishwanathan. He spoke about the managerial perspective of education, which is showed by this document. We know that Kasturi Rangan is a technocrat, right? He doesn't have much experience in the academics. He says that he may think maybe that his lack of experience in the academic debates is visible in the document. But this managerial conception of education, looking at education for getting job, converting education into a 21st century technological hub and things like that. These, I think, we know that education is slightly more than that, especially in the context of India. We know that education is a real serious element of empowerment. It's a real serious element of social mobility. It's not just for getting a job. So we have a culture where we look at education a little more complex, a little more serious format other than getting a job. So that is slightly problematic, as it is said by Shiv Vishwanathan. We need to look at education a little more comprehensive, little more organic, little more complex way, other than looking at as a mere breadwinner, things like that. Secondly is we always talk about tradition and modernity. We cannot move beyond a point without engaging with our tradition. And we know that tradition is very much part of the individual talent also. But in the context of current dispensation, I think the notion of Indianness or the notion of Bharat-centeredness, I think that's a interesting comment made by a functionary connected with the current dispensation. We always talk about who discovered, Vasco da Gama discovered route to India. Maybe true for a European, but he says that for an Indian, you need to look at this formulation a little more different format. So you're talking about a kind of Indianized version of things, Bharat version of that. But my concern is it's interesting because we as Indians, we are all proud of our heritage, we are proud of our cultural traditions and things like that. But the notion of Indian in the context of a pluralistic India, it's not that simplistic, right? How can you unitarize the notion of Indian? How can you homogenize the notion of Indianness? So the idea of Indianness is very democratic, very proliferating, very multi and very heterogeneous. So the idea of unifying Indianness is really problematic. Another important point is that we always talk about, in spite of all the progressive formulations on curriculum and education, at the end of the day, any curriculum is realized through teachers. So teachers are very, very visible component of any complex, progressive, abstract curriculum. So people see them. People see these people as the last leg of curriculum. And we know that at the end of the day, at the end of the day, quality of teaching is important. But the point here is that the document says of slightly an academic way of motivating teachers. They are connecting quality with the promotion, the quality with the as you find in the marketplace, quality in terms of the kind of incentivization of education and things like that. It's really slightly unacademic. We cannot equate everything in terms of monetary dimensions and things like that. So these are some of the concerns I have in terms of educate. The point is that we know that unfortunately, after reading the entire document, I couldn't find the key areas like secularism, constitutions, etc., etc. We know that secularism is the real backbone of the nation, but unfortunately, those terms are missing. But instead, they talk of general values and general principles. So here the constitutional values are in a meaningfully disguised as the principles and values of a nation. And mind you, the document is conspicuously silent on the fundamental rights of the individual. We know that as a democratic dispensation, the rights of individual is as important as the duties of individual. So that is also, in a way, is consequently missing. So these are, and of course, I told you already, we have some interesting ideas on the restructurations of the school education, restructuration of curriculum. We have some interesting ideas of managing our traditions and things like that. Some interesting look at the classical languages and things like that. Focus on general knowledge, focus on communication skills. These are all interesting areas, but this is slightly minute kind of a thing, so I'm not focusing more on that. Another important area is the issue of higher education. We know that the condition of higher education is not that interesting, because in terms of the quality, we don't have any Indian institution in the world's ranked institutions. I think even our IITs are not near to the 20s or 30s of the listing. So our plight is not that interesting, and moreover, the gross enrollment ratio, I think we are still aiming at 50%. We are lagging in terms of other progressive nations. China is much ahead of us in terms of enrollment ratios, and even the research percentage of in terms of 1 lakh, I think the number is very, ours is 15, or there is 111. So we are lagging in this area, and serious restructuration, serious really to be undertaken in this area. I think the government is looking at that. They are stopping. They have decided to stop the MPhil program. They have decided to restructure the undergraduate curriculum.
Yes, dear, you are crossing the time limit. That is only 8 minutes more. 8 minutes.
I'm stopping. That's my
You
last
can
leg
go
of the
to
program.
conclude. And
So
there are so many people now.
serious
This Ubay Dadavana also came to our platform.
So what's
He's
my
a
timing?
great
Should I
media
stop? I
person.
can stop. Maybe
There are
some
so
others
many
can,
people
some
like
others can
Tayyibah
talk about
Ibrahim,
higher education.
Irfan,
That is the case.
Abdul Wahid. Okay, we will
Should I
continue
stop
these
now?
things. Tomorrow we'll continue. Now you can conclude, sir. Conclude.
Yeah. So my point is that higher education has to be looked at seriously. One point I would like to mention especially about is that we always talk about multi-disciplinarity. It's a very buzzword, everybody's talking about that. And I also have no problem about that. But though we talk of multidisciplinarity, we have some disciplines which is seriously multidisciplinary. For example, like gender studies, Dalit studies, or environmental studies, and media studies, things like that. But these areas are meaningfully kept silent in this document. Though we talk of multidisciplinarity, we are not supporting the seriously multidisciplinary branches, where it is talking about the identity differences and multiplicity, etc., etc. So there is a double standard on that. Another important point is that the kind of silence on the marginalized. Document talks about socially and economically backward group of children. And the document is silent on issues of caste, issues of marginalization, issues of empowerment. So that is also slightly, but we know that India society is a very differentiated kind of a society, where caste plays a vital role in the social empowerment of individuals. In this context, a document which is going to be having effect in the next 15 to 16 years, it is silent on this crucial area is really problematic. Last point I would like to say, the idea of foreign university. We know that it's always good to have interaction with the foreign universities. We have always talked of exchanging students from one university to other. But talking about foreign university in this way, or talking foreign university in terms of setting up, you know, very poor teaching shops in the name of foreign university is very, very problematic. So we need to have, I have nothing to do about, I'm nothing against discussing, interacting with, you're also developing through that, you interact with globally reputed individuals. So it's a mutually, enhancing process. But we have to be serious about that. What kind of foreign universities are inviting? Especially we are talking about Atmanirbhar and things like that. We are talking about Indian-centered Atmanirbhar kind of an approach. And you are talking about the foreign university, and you're setting them as the model for, higher education. I don't know how much access is available to the underprivileged to these kind of learning centers. So I'm stopping my presentation. Before that, let me conclude by saying, recently some controversies are raging in the newspapers, and some political organizations have significant say in the formulation of the document, and most of their arguments are represented in the document. But one point I think they have made is that we should stop the contractual appointment of teachers. Unfortunately, only that element is negated, which is very crucial because contractual teaching is not really interesting. But that is not taken seriously. All other suggestions, especially the name change, instead of HRD, they're using the word Ministry of Education and focus on early educations and focus on Bharat-centeredness and things like that. All these areas are well taken care of. But the most important thing were the organizing against the contractual appointment of teachers is really unconsidered in this document.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Document,
You are a teacher of government school. That's why you are more focused on that issue. Anyway, time is over. That's why we will continue this discussion tomorrow the same time, 10:30 to 11. We'll be watching tomorrow. We are expecting the most honorable person, that is His Excellency K. Shankaranarayanan, the former governor of including Maharashtra, for 6 states, 6 Indian states. He served as a governor. That's and also Bashir's chair of Calicut University, the head, the former philosophy department head, former director of Basha Institute, that is Dr. P.K. Poka. He is the chief mentor of CHiLD-GOGY for the media program on philosophy on media. He also participating in our program, and we'll have a discussion on the vibrant topics like Variyam Gunnat Kunya Hamadaji. Their film is coming, a lot of issues. And regarding all the relevant contemporary issues, we'll discuss tomorrow because already we scheduled August 1st. And also we are going to launch our national, it's not national, it's an international flagship project. It's a community school program. It's called Rupee Knowledge Revolution. That is TOMO school. TOMO school is a virtual campus. Even with 1 rupee, you can join this program. That is the concept. The TOTO Chan of Kerala, that is Muhammad FAYIZ, a master Muhammad FAYIZ, a small boy, little boy who are the superstar in the social media and the mainstream media also. And people will love to hear his art education class. A child is taking art education class. Then Nangeli when just remember Nangeliയുടെ പാട്ട്
പാട്ട് കേട്ടു എല്ലാരും.
Noushad sir, are we not
time
trying any interaction? I think maybe some of them can.
no time is over. That's why tomorrow we'll go for that. No,
okay.
Tomorrow same session will continue, same platform, same time will continue, in which we can do first, because the time limit, because we are using this screen time protocol. 20 is our rule. After watching 20 minutes television, screen, mobile, we have to watch a green leaf or green plant or green sapling in a 20-second. That's why 20 rule we already set in our screen free workshop. That's why that's the international protocol for the screen time. Okay, as we are the educators, we can't cross that fundamentals, the Lakshman Regas of that one. That is the basic plan. ജസ്റ്റ് മാം അപ്പോ നമ്മുടെ നങ്ങേലിയുടെ പാട്ട് നമുക്ക് നാളെ ചെയ്യാം അല്ലേ? നാളെ നമ്മുടെ ലോഞ്ചിങ്ങിന്റെ ഭാഗമായി ടോമോ സ്കൂൾ ലോഞ്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നതിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് ചെയ്യാം.
Okay.
Already payment gateway everything is open. Digital consultancy Spark Technomedia. For 1 rupee pay cheyidal, anyone can enjoy this program. That is called 1 rupee knowledge revolution across the world. And our English program also will start tomorrow. English, agriculture, and art and craft. That here this Timmy is very much interested for the art and craft. Okay.
Application from
Thoughtful.